In 1953, Arthur C. Clarke published what would become one of science fiction's most profound and philosophically rich novels, Childhood's End. In its pages, he crafted a story that began like many alien arrival tales, but would evolve into something far more complex and disturbing. They came without warning or explanation. Massive ships appeared over Earth's major cities, hanging motionless in the sky. But unlike every alien invasion story that had come before, these visitors made no demands. They simply waited, silent sentinels above our civilization. When they finally spoke, through carefully chosen human intermediaries, they made a simple promise. They were here to help humanity survive itself. They called themselves the Overlords, and their arrival marked the end of human history as we knew it. But in what would become their most mysterious and debated decision, they refused to show themselves. Their only direct contact would be through UN Secretary General Ricky Stormgren, who spoke with their leader Karellen from behind an opaque screen. Even Stormgren, their chosen intermediary, was never permitted to see them. Karellen's voice was warm, cultured, even humorous at times. He displayed an encyclopedic knowledge of human history and culture, often quoting our philosophers and poets. Through Stormgren, he began implementing sweeping changes, ending wars, solving environmental crises, eliminating poverty, but always from behind that screen. Always hidden, the questions consumed humanity. What were these beings who could so easily reshape our civilization? Why would creatures capable of interstellar travel, beings who demonstrated such advanced technology and benevolence, hide themselves? Theories ranged from the sublime to the ridiculous. Scientists proposed they might be energy beings, too alien for human comprehension. Philosophers suggested they might be so beautiful they would inspire inappropriate worship, or so hideous they would provoke instinctive revulsion. Science fiction writers, suddenly finding their genre at the center of serious speculation, imagined them as collective intelligences or hybrid machine organisms. But the most passionate debates raged in religious circles. Some saw the Overlords as angels, divine messengers heralding humanity's judgment day. Others feared them as demons, their benevolence a mask for darker purposes. The Catholic Church maintained a careful neutrality, while smaller sects either embraced or denounced them. New religions sprouted, mixing traditional faith with worship of the unseen beings in the sky. The Overlords themselves remained carefully neutral on religious matters, though Karellen occasionally quoted from various holy texts with what seemed like gentle amusement. Stormgren himself was tortured by the mystery. His relationship with Karellen became one of history's most fascinating partnerships. A human and an unseen alien, working together to reshape civilization. In their private conversations, Karellen revealed himself as a being of profound intelligence and surprising humor. He could discuss quantum physics one moment and make wry observations about human nature the next. He showed particular fondness for Earth's literature, often quoting Shakespeare and Plato with perfect recall and subtle understanding. Yet, whenever Stormgren pressed about their appearance, Karellen would deflect with philosophical observations. "Would you show an infant a calculus textbook?" he once asked. Some truths require preparation. He spoke of humanity as gifted children, full of potential but requiring guidance. When pushed further, he would only say that humanity needed time, specifically 50 years. 2 generations would need to grow up under their guidance before the Overlords could safely reveal themselves. Stormgren came to trust Karellen deeply, even consider him a friend, though he never saw him. Their conversations ranged from global policy to personal matters, with Karellen showing genuine interest in human emotions and relationships, even as he kept his own nature hidden. "You will understand everything in time," he would say, with what seemed like sadness in his voice. But understanding requires preparation, and preparation requires patience. This answer only deepened the mystery. What could be so shocking about their appearance that it required generations of preparation? Religious leaders worried they might appear as angels, upending established faiths. Scientists speculated they might be evolved versions of Earth creatures, forcing us to confront our own evolutionary destiny. But none guessed the disturbing truth that would shake the very foundations of human mythology. Those 50 years changed everything. Under the Overlord's hidden guidance, humanity entered a golden age unlike anything in our history. Wars ceased, not through force, but through the careful resolution of age-old conflicts and the elimination of their root causes. Poverty vanished as new economic systems emerged, guided by the Overlord's subtle suggestions. Disease retreated before advancing medical knowledge, though the Overlords never directly shared their technology, instead guiding human scientists toward their own discoveries. But the changes went deeper than mere material progress. Human society itself transformed. National boundaries became increasingly meaningless. A global culture emerged, unified but not uniform. Education was revolutionized, emphasizing creativity and critical thinking over rote learning. Cities were redesigned, becoming green paradises that merged technology with nature. Yet, there were disturbing undercurrents. The arts flourished in terms of technical skill, but some noted a strange decline in creative genius. No new Beethoven or Picasso emerged. The greatest works remained those created before the Overlords' arrival. It was as if humanity's driving spark, the desperate creativity born of struggle and uncertainty, was being gently dampened. Religion underwent its own transformation. As old faith struggled with the implications of the Overlords' existence, a new kind of secular spirituality emerged. Children grew up looking to the sky, wondering about their invisible guardians. Each generation became more unified, more peaceful, more ready for what was to come. Though ready for what, none yet knew. When the day of revelation finally arrived, it was broadcast globally. Billions watched as Karellen's ship descended to Earth. The world held its breath as the ship's door opened. All of humanity united in this moment of ultimate revelation. When Karellen at last stepped into the light of Earth's sun, the collective gasp was heard around the world, for standing before them was a being that matched, with perfect and terrifying accuracy, humanity's oldest image of evil incarnate. The reaction was chaos. Religious leaders fainted. Scientists stood speechless. Millions fell to their knees in prayer. Yet others found themselves strangely calm, as if some deep part of their psyche had always known, had been prepared for this moment through countless generations of mythology and art. 12 feet tall, with massive leathery wings, horned head, and barbed tail, every detail of their appearance matched our ancient depictions of Satan and his demons. In that moment, the reason for their long hiding became brutally clear. They needed humanity to judge them by their actions, not their appearance. They needed us to know them as guardians before we saw them as devils. But this was more than mere appearance. Through some quirk of time and consciousness, our ancestors had caught psychic glimpses of these future visitors. Those visions, those fragments of a destiny yet to come, had shaped our very concept of evil. Their form had haunted our collective unconscious for millennia, preparing us, or perhaps warning us, of what was to come. Now, with their true form revealed, the Overlords could finally explain their full purpose. In the weeks and months that followed, Karellen and his kind shared the true scope of their mission. They served something greater, what they called the Overmind, a cosmic consciousness that sends them throughout the universe to shepherd species with potential. This vast, almost incomprehensible entity was like a galaxy-spanning intelligence, constantly growing, constantly evolving through the absorption and transcendence of various species. Humanity, they revealed, carried within it the seeds of something greater, something the Overlords themselves could never achieve. Our species stood on the brink of an evolutionary leap beyond physical form, beyond individual consciousness. Our children would be the bridge to this transformation, displaying unprecedented psychic abilities that were only the beginning of the change to come. The Overlords explained how they had guided other species through this transformation before us. They described worlds where entire civilizations had evolved beyond physical form, joining the Overmind in a transcendence that the Overlords themselves could only observe, never experience. Their knowledge of physics, their mastery of space travel, their incredible technology, all of it was merely tools in service of this greater purpose, preparing species for an evolution beyond technology, beyond physical form itself. For this was their tragic role. They were cosmic midwives, forever unable to be reborn themselves. They guided humanity toward a transcendence they could never share, watching species after species evolve beyond their reach while they remained eternal witnesses. These devils were actually our guardian angels, but they were forever barred from the heaven they helped others reach. The story of humanity's end was also Earth's end. As the children of humanity's final generation began their transformation, the planet itself would become their chrysalis. The Overlords remained to protect the rest of humanity from these transformed children and to witness Earth's final destiny. There could be no sequel to this story, no continuation of human civilization as we know it. Clarke crafted a narrative that was truly final, the end of human childhood, the beginning of something entirely new, and the Overlord's eternal role as shepherds to this transformation. What makes this ending so powerful is its absolute finality. Unlike other science fiction stories of alien contact or human evolution, Childhood's End doesn't leave room for further adventures or explorations. It presents the ultimate destiny, not just of a few characters, but of our entire species. The Overlords themselves would move on to their next assignment, forever fulfilling their role as midwives to transcendence. But humanity as we know it would cease to exist, becoming part of something far greater and more incomprehensible than we could imagine. Thank you for joining me for this deep dive into Clarke's Overlords. If you found this analysis interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps support more explorations of science fiction's most fascinating concepts. We've got upcoming videos analyzing the deeper meaning of the monoliths in 2001, A Space Odyssey, and the true nature of the aliens in Stanislaw Lem's Solaris. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss those. Their very name, Overlords, carried this duality. They lorded over us, yet they served us. They controlled us, yet they freed us. They ended our childhood as a species, yet they themselves were trapped in a kind of eternal adolescence, advanced enough to guide others to transcendence, but forever unable to achieve it themselves. This is what makes Clarke's creation so haunting. The Overlords represent both humanity's greatest achievement and our end. They are both our saviors and our pallbearers, guiding us toward an evolutionary leap that will leave behind everything we consider human. In their tragic role as eternal shepherds, never able to join their flock in transcendence, they pose the ultimate question: is it better to reign in hell or serve in heaven? What would you do if you knew humanity was destined for a transcendence you could never share? Would you guide us toward that destiny, knowing it meant watching another species evolve beyond you? The Overlord's dedication to this task, despite its personal cost, makes them among the most noble and tragic figures in science fiction. Devils who serve heaven's purpose, forever watching others enter a paradise they cannot know. Let me know in the comments. If you were an Overlord, could you dedicate eternity to helping other species achieve a transcendence you could never experience yourself? What would that kind of existence do to a civilization's psyche? I read all your comments and love discussing these big science fiction ideas with you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.